I will listen to podcasts. Yeah, it's an easy way to track an hour. And you don't, like, sometimes you don't have to be paying full attention. It's just nice to hear other people talking. You don't feel alone. So I'll listen to, I have a few, I listen to your podcast, The Artist Matters.
Thank you.
And then there's a few others.
Isn't Don't Keep Your Day Job? I think that's how I found you.
Yes. I listen to Kathy Heller's Don't Keep Your Day Job, and Andy J. Pizza's creative pep talk. I like to listen to his too. And then there's some other ones that like have nothing to do with what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Like Joe Rogan's podcast is a good 3-hour. Like I'm going to listen to this and not do anything for 3 hours. But I listen to that at work. Like when I'm at my actual day job, I listen to that.
I like you said. I like to listen to it when I have nothing better to do at work.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it feels when you're doing a job that you don't want to be doing.
Yeah, I feel you. Understandable. Yeah. And so you went to Disney. That must have been inspiring because it's a very creative place everywhere you look.
Absolutely.
And you didn't go alone.
I didn't. I went with my girlfriend, which she's amazing. It was her idea to go to Disney. She is a very big Disney fan. I am too. I just never saw myself planning a trip to Disney. Not even for a particular reason, honestly. It just, I don't know. It felt like that seems out of touch. Like I can't afford that. And we started planning it, and we went for my 29th birthday. So we spent 6 days down there, 5 days at the parks, and it was arguably the best birthday I've ever had. Yeah, it was a great time, and being down there just sparks all sorts of creativity juices. Like knowing that came from nothing. Like when Walt was designing that legacy, I'm sure he saw it, but it's one thing to think oh yeah, this is where we could go, but then when it gets there, and he didn't even get to see it. Yeah. Technically, he passed before Disney World opened, but he got to see Disneyland because that's that was the first one. So I don't know. I don't know what that would feel like, but being down there made me go, I could be the next Walt Disney, or I could be the next Stan Lee, or I don't know. I don't want it to sound arrogant because it comes from a place of excitement of
you're inspired too.
Yeah. Because I don't at any means want to take away from the Disney legacy, but it did make me think I could do that. I could be the next Walt Disney,
Ambitious.
That'd be really cool. That would be really, really cool. My fail-safe plan, if my freelance work doesn't pan out and I am just continuously struggling, I'm going to pursue working for Disney. Not even kidding. I'll do whatever it takes.
Hakuna Matata. All right, so we alluded to this earlier, and you have this unique autoimmune disease. What's it called?
It's called Mixed Connective Tissue Disease, MCTD for short. It's pretty gnarly and also still pretty rare. A lot of people don't know about it. When I talk about it, I usually am fairly generic. I'm like, oh yeah, I got an autoimmune disease and it affects my connective tissue. And people are like, oh, what's it called? And I'll tell them, and they look at me like I have 6 heads. And I'm like, well, have you heard of lupus? And almost everybody's heard of lupus. So then from there I'll go, okay, well, I have that and 2 others, basically. Wow. In a nutshell, my doctor told me that mixed connective is lupus mixed with scleroderma and polymytosis. And I don't remember the functions of all 3 of those, but lupus is a lot of skin stuff, and the other 2 have to do with my connective tissues with my my joints and my organs and stuff like that. So I get a lot of inflammation, and like I'll get chest pains and joints ache. Like fatigue is my best friend these days.
When did you find out you had this? How old were you?
It was 2013 was the night I was diagnosed. I guess, well, it was the year, I should say.
Yeah.
The night I was diagnosed was a few nights after I went to the hospital because they had to do testing and stuff. It was a thing. I honestly can't remember the exact day, whether it was like a Monday, Tuesday, etc. But my ex-wife was at NKU, and she called me and was like, "Hey, my car battery died. Left my headlights on or something." I was like, all right, well, I'll be there in a minute. And, like, I wasn't feeling good that day. She knew that, and she felt really bad. She was like, well, I can call someone else. I was like, no, don't worry about it. I'm the closest one to you, so I'll just come over there. So I hop in my Jeep, and I drive the 15 minutes or whatever it was. And I get there. Her and a couple of her, like, class friends were there, thankfully, because there's no way I could have pushed the car. The car was parked and in a space where in front of the car was like a hillside, like, so I couldn't park my Jeep in front of it. So we had to back her car out, but it was dead, so we had to push her car out so I could get the front of our cars close enough to jump her car. So we did that. Her two friends helped me push the car because I had zero strength. And at this time I had no idea that what I was experiencing was my disease. I just thought I was sick. So we push the car back, and then I get in my Jeep to start it so we can jump them. And I passed out. I blacked out in my car. Sitting still, like it wasn't driving or anything. And I couldn't tell you. It was probably like 30 seconds. Felt like forever to me, but it was probably like a few seconds. And I woke up and I like honked my horn because I couldn't scream or anything because I'm in the car by myself. So she runs over and she's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, I just passed out." She was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." You know, like it's total stubbornness. Like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She's like, "Well, let's go to the hospital." I was like, "No, we don't need to go to the hospital." Totally afraid to go to the hospital for some reason at this point. So her grandmother is a licensed like nurse practitioner, like not a full nurse, but like whatever it is, the step below. And so we went to see her grandma, who is the same distance away from the college as we lived. So we drove to her, like we parked her car, and she drove me over to her grandma's because I blacked out. She was like, "You're not driving." I was like, "Fair enough." So we get there. Her grandma like does my blood pressure and like all the little vital stuff, and I was like, I don't know why I passed out. Like maybe I'm just hungry. Like I hadn't really eaten anything that day, so they gave me like an orange juice. Like maybe that was what did it. Well, I blacked out again on their couch, and I didn't get an option. Like when I woke back up, they were already on the phone with the ambulance. So go to the hospital. Now the doctors know what's going on. Like they were guessing, like, oh, it could be this, could be that, whatever. They called a cardiologist. They called a rheumatologist. They called everything. The heart doctor came and they did some tests like X-rays and stuff, and they found there was fluid in my chest cavity, and a lot of it. So they had to do an emergency procedure where they poked me with a needle right under my sternum to kind of hook me up to a thing to drain it. Well, they did that, and I think I was under like half anesthesia because I could hear everybody talking, but I think it was supposed to be strong enough to where I wouldn't move. like while they were doing it. And so I remember that procedure like I was there. I mean, I was there. So it felt like I was awake. And I heard a nurse say, like, is he awake right now? And I like, my eyes weren't open, but like I was clenching my fists because like I could feel the needle. And I don't know. I'm guessing I was in so much pain that they didn't give me enough anesthesia to like knock me out enough to where I wouldn't feel it.
Boy.
It was a rough night. They did the procedure. They got all the fluid out. They couldn't get it all from the front, so they had to go in from the side, like under my armpit, through that way.
Ouch.
And they were afraid it would build back up, so they connected a tube to me, and I got to wear this sweet medallion. It was like this circular silicone thing that was basically a fluid catch. I called it my medallion because I was on some pretty heavy painkillers. But it turned out to be almost 2 liters of fluid in my chest, which was the reason why I was blacking out, because my heart was beating slow and restricting the blood flow and stuff. Yeah. So it was pretty scary stuff. I spent 6 days in the hospital and 6 weeks off work. And they did a bunch of blood work. The rheumatologist called for blood work, and that's when they found out I had mixed connective tissue disease. And I had no idea what that meant, you know, and he's explaining all this stuff to me. And you know, I had every single doctor, from the ER to the cardiologist and my rheumatologist, they all told me countless times that I was lucky to be alive. They don't know how I'm alive, like stuff, like weird stuff that a 23-year-old doesn't know how to process. And so I didn't know what that meant for my life. Like, I had all these questions, like, well, can I still like be active? Like, because I was in pretty good shape. I've never been like athlete status, but at that point in my life, I was taking my health seriously and was working out and being really active. And they were like, yeah, you might be able to do that. You just won't be able to do it at the levels that you used to be able to. And I don't take people telling me what I can and can't do very well.
That's the Grizzly.
So they told me, like, you know, you're probably not going to be able to do like marathons, or like running might not be a thing anymore, or like just little stuff that like most people probably don't care about. But I was like, I'm going to be able to do that again one day. And in 2018, I ran my first. It was a 5K. It wasn't a marathon. Don't get excited, everybody. I ran my first race
4 miles
since 2013. So that was exhilarating to be able to look back on that day that I was told I probably won't be able to actually doing it. Like, it made me feel really good. I mean, I have to take medicine every day. That's the reason why I was able to do it. But yeah, I was diagnosed with that beast.
So what exactly does it do to your body?
It creates a lot of inflammation and has potential to produce like fluid buildup in my. There's a liner that covers your heart and your lungs, and in between that liner and your organs is where the fluid will build. So I'll get sharp chest pains. It kind of feels like, the doctors tell me it feels like sandpaper rubbing your organs. But to me, it feels more like knives, or just like pressing against my lungs when I take inhales. Yeah, it's just like, maybe not knives, just like sharp needles, like spikes or something. I don't know. It's just pain everywhere when I breathe. So then I end up taking like shorter breaths, and they don't like that, because then I run risk of developing pneumonia from not taking like a deep breath. So it's like a whole fiasco when I go into my doctor calls it a flare up. Very like he uses a lot of like cancer terms, like flare